Hi everyone, it's Jess and you're watching Jess Reads. Today I thought, since I haven't really done this in a while, I would talk about my top 10 favorite books of all time. They're pretty much all contemporary romance. I think one is more so like not really horror but like thriller kind of thing. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This is my favorite book of all time. Obviously I'm just going to go like from like favorite to, I don't want to say least favorite, but like number 10. Yeah, no, so this is Cackle by Rachel Harrison, and it follows Annie, who is dumped by her boyfriend, and then she moves to upstate New York and basically starts her life completely all over. And she meets Sophie, who is kind of her opposite, but like they click. They become pretty close, and Sophie seems, a little like strange, different, but Annie doesn't want to, make any assumptions, but, it's called Cackle, and I guess you can kind of tell from the cover art that she suspects Sophie's, something a little, you know? But yeah, no, and basically it just follows their friendship and Annie's new career as a teacher. And it's very when I first bought this book at Barnes, they had a little like description like attached to the shelf, and it said it was like for fans of Gilmore Girls. So of course, I had to check it out, and it was like very like fall-esque. And so yeah, this very quickly became like my favorite book ever, and I definitely highly recommend it. So number 2 is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is more of like a YA contemporary romance kind of thing, and it follows Liz, who has a neighbor named Wes, who is kind of her enemy, but also like she just thinks he's annoying, and they kind of play pranks on each other, and it's this whole thing. And she has a crush on this kid named Michael, and Michael is friends with Wes. So in order to get to Michael, she like strikes a deal with Wes, and he's gonna help her he's gonna help her catch Michael's attention, so to speak. And along the way, Liz finds herself, noticing things about Wes a little bit. And it's such a sweet, romantic, it's funny, and there's like parts of it about like Liz's personal life, and it's so good. It is so good. I actually have up there somewhere, I have a signed copy because I love it so much. The next book I want to talk about is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. First, I just want to say Sarah Adams is a phenomenal author, writer, just everything about her, and she's so sweet. I sometimes, I'll comment on her Instagram and she'll reply, and she's awesome. And she actually just released Practice Makes Perfect, which is like, I don't want to say like the sequel, but it's like a spin-off kind of thing with side characters. And that book was awesome too, but let's focus on When in Rome. So this follows Amelia, or her stage name is Ray Rose, because she's like this international like superstar, and she basically needs a break from life and her career. And so she goes to Rome, Kentucky, because she's like a big, Audrey Hepburn fan, and she finds like this place called Rome, and she just wants to go there. And so it's, it's not Rome, but it's Rome, Kentucky. And and what happens is her car breaks down on the lawn of Noah Walker, and they're like instantly like attracted to each other, but they don't really want to like do anything. I don't know, it's like this whole thing. And and it's just, it's like a, you know, it's a small town romance, and there's pie involved, and it is very similar to you know, Audrey Hepburn-esque movies. And it's just, it's such, I love it so much. It's so sweet. And oh, it's Grumpy X Sunshine. And but it just, like, you have to obviously read it to really get the gist of it, but I love it so much. So number 4 is a book that holds a very special place in my heart. It's You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. And it's special because this was the first contemporary romance book that I ever bought. You know, I used to read like YA and like all these like series, like, you know, when I was like younger, but then when I wanted to, you know, get it back into reading, and I discovered BookTube, Bookstagram, all that, this was recommended and like all over the place, so I picked it up. And the thing is, it's special because it was the first book, but it took a reread of it for me to like really fall in love with it. I cried. Yeah, no, I cried at the end. It just gave me so many emotions that for some reason I didn't feel the first time around. I don't know. But this follows Naomi and Nicholas, and they're engaged, but Naomi and Nicholas are like getting sick of each other, and so they like make this bet, like whoever like gets out of the lease first has to like pay the wedding bill or something. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since the reread, but so they basically try to get each other to like move out first, and they play pranks on each other, and it's this whole thing. And you know, by doing that, they kind of see a different side of each other that they haven't seen in a while, and they kind of remember why they fell in love. And it's just so sweet and funny, and I love it so much. And get out of there. And like I said, this just holds such a special place in my heart. Number 5 is a book that I'm assuming many of you have seen, and it is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. The amazing Emily Henry, I should say, because we all know she's incredible. And this follows Nora and Charlie, and Nora and her sister Libby take a trip to Sunshine Falls, and what happens is Nora runs into Charlie Lastra, and they're both literary agents, and they kind of hate each other. You know, it's like, it's not really Grumpy X Sunshine, but it's like it's enemies to lovers, yeah. And they just kind of along the way learn to respect each other, and things happen. Book number 5 is A Guide to Being Just Friends by Sophie Sullivan, and this follows Haley and Wes. And Haley kind of just, you know, she owns a salad shop, and she doesn't really want anything to get in her way. And then you have Wes, who his parents got divorced, and he doesn't really believe in love and doesn't really want anything to do with it. But they meet in like the book describes it as a disastrous meet cute, and they meet, but they keep like running into each other, and they decide to just stay friends. But you know, obviously that's a little difficult when the sparks start flying. But this book is really, it's part of the Jansen Brothers series. Well, they're standalones, but they kind of go together because they're about like all the brothers. I haven't read any of the others, but if they're as good as this one is, then I look forward to doing so at some point. Next, we have The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. And before I even like talk about this book, Jenny Colgan is such a phenomenal writer. I read a few of her books. I own like the last book I bought was one of hers, and she is so phenomenal. And if I could like describe her books in one word, it would be cozy. They are so cozy. You know, I love reading them like when it's raining, and like you know, I can't wait for like September, October to be here so I can read them like in the fall and just all the cozy vibes, you know? So this book follows Nina, and Nina loses her job and moves to another town, and she finds a van, and she wants to turn it, like, you know, it's like a big van, and she wants to turn it into a bookshop on wheels, like a mobile, you know, book van kind of thing. And it tells her journey, the story of her journey, and the people she meets, and it's just so good. It's just so good. Like, I can't describe how good this actually is. Like, you have to read it to figure that out. The next book I'm going to talk about is another book that I'm sure most of you have seen before, and it's Beach Read by Emily Henry. And this book follows Augustus and January, and they are two like kind of struggling writers, and they happen to go on vacation at the same time, and they're next door neighbors at the beach houses, and they make a bet where they're gonna switch genres, and Augustus is going to write a romance and January is going to write like just like a literary fiction kind of thing. And you know, along the way they start to feel things for each other, and I did not expect to cry, but I did. I'm obviously not going to give anything away, but towards the end I was very emotional, let me tell you. Book number 9 is An Optimist Guide to Heartbreak by Jennifer Hartman. And this book is part of the Heart Song duet, where the other book is A Pessimist Guide to Love, which I've also read, but I want to talk about this one because it was obviously, you know, I read them in order, and also this is actually the only physical one that I have. The other one I read on my Kindle, so I could show it to you, but I'm choosing not to. It kind of like goes from like the past to the present, and there were two best friends named Lucy and Emma, and Emma had passed away, and they were best friends, and Emma's brother Cal was also friends with them. But when Emma dies, you know, Lucy and Cal, they like never see each other again. It's this whole thing. But years later, Lucy and Cal like find their way back to each other, but Lucy is now battling a condition, and Cal is now like this like closed off, cold, you know, not bad person, but like just mean and serious and all that kind of stuff. So basically Lucy has to kind of teach him how to open up and feel again. And okay, this book ends on a cliffhanger, and but also like towards the end it's so much angst, and the way it ends on the cliffhanger, it really got to me, and I was like, okay, I have to like read the next one. And I did, and you know, obviously like it's this whole thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but this book is so emotional and I love it so much. Speaking of emotional, the final book I'm going to talk about is 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. Dare I say this is more emotional than the last one? Yeah, sorry, there's cat hair all over it. This follows Poppy and Rune, and they meet when they were like little kids, and they become best friends, and then they fall in love, and they, you know, they're living their happy like young lives, and then Rune has to move back to Norway, and so they start like a long distance relationship, but then Poppy stops like trying to communicate, and Rune is like left wondering like what happened, and you know, he doesn't have any answers. But then he moves back to where Poppy lives, and yeah, it's you know, he finds out like why she stopped writing, and this book really got to me. I don't want to like give anything away, but just have tissues nearby when you read this. So those were my top 10 favorite books of all time. Hopefully you found a new favorite, maybe. You know, I'm not the best at explaining, but if you go to like Goodreads, Amazon, whatever, you know, you'll figure it out better than I can explain it, I'm sure. But I hope you found this nope, this is a video. I hope you found this video helpful and entertaining, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.